What's up guys, my name's Dychronic here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking about the new PvP weapon taking the Crucible by storm in the new Warmind update. Now there are still a lot of meta weapons from before this Warmind update that are still doing very well, things like the Vigilance Wing, Uriel's Gift, Last Hope, Antiope, Colony. These things are still very rampant in the Crucible, but there have been a lot of changes that have been going around. Now the weapon I'm referring to is the Graviton Lance Pulse Rifle. This one got an update to be a 2-burst pulse rifle instead of a 3-burst. The second shot being the big damaging shot, able to do things like 40 damage body shots and 59 damage headshots. And on top of that, if you ever kill anybody, it'll spawn void projectiles that'll home in on nearby enemies. I can't tell you how many times I've lit up a group of enemies, killed one of them, and just had them all start exploding, killing each other, and re-exploding. It is so much fun to actually just decimate. This is a lot better, I would say, when it comes to team fighting. So in Rumble, it's not as good, but when it comes to fighting other enemy teams, it's very nice because it's very much an exploding enemies. Just explode the enemies next to you is very fun. Would also like to mention that this weapon's second shot, that very big black hole shot, actually has no damage fall off whatsoever. So this weapon actually starts to dominate these scout rifles at long range. Things like the Mida multi-tool or even a high impact scout rifles like the Jade Rabbit will start to have problems when fighting this weapon. However, I would still say that they would beat out the Graviton. They would still start to have problems because the Graviton can definitely hang at long range. It's lower recoil because it's 2 bursts, and the fact that it goes infinitely makes this weapon pretty powerful. And on top of that, scout rifles have not really been in the meta lately, so you're not going to find a lot of enemies with a lot of range on them. And finally, one of the last things about this weapon that's special is that its sight actually sees enemies with a glowing red outline around them. So when you have enemies behind smoke grenades or just grenades that are very obstructive and you can't see very much, this is actually a very nice thing to have. You can see them through the smoke, you can see them through grenades, you can see through any kind of clutter that's in front of you. You cannot see invisible enemies, but it makes it a lot easier to use against enemies that are somewhat hidden, and you can have an advantage on being able to see the enemy no matter where they go. And in general, just highlighting the enemy just makes them easier to see. So overall, the best way to use this weapon is going to be at those mid to long range engagements. If you can get a nice sight line into some of their spawns, you can get some real damage from range and they will not be able to compete, especially with the new meta with people using hand cannons all the time, trying to get that Crucible chest piece ornament where you have to get 250 headshot kills with hand cannons. That's kind of ridiculous. I'm never getting that because I'm terrible at hand cannons, but you want to avoid the close engagements with this new hand cannon Crucible thing. So if you're going to be using the Graviton, stay at mid-range to long range, stay with your teammates, work with them, and in general, this weapon is a beast. When it comes to damage, this weapon technically can 3-shot headshot anybody. If the enemy is of lower resistance, you can 2 headshots and 1 body shot kill them. But in general, you're going to find yourself with the enemy maybe sitting between like 2 to 5 health with 3 bursts into their head and body. That being said, if you work with your team at all, 3 bursts is a very short amount of time. If your team just tags them once, you're going to end up getting pretty saucy and quick kills. And on top of that, if your team has Vigilance, Vigilance has enough damage to allow a 2-burst from the Graviton, which makes this one of my favorite weapons to use as a team. So if you do end up using this, pick a teammate if you're in solos and just follow them, and you'll find you'll start to get a lot of kills. Best weapon to pair with this is going to be a close range weapon, perhaps a Better Devils, Old Fashioned, anything close range, maybe assault rifles, SMGs, hand cannons would work very nicely with this. As far as heavies go, anything you really want. I've been using a rocket lately because I always find that I end up just giving a heavy ammo to the enemy, so fire 1 rocket, they can't get anything from me. And that's pretty much it. There's really not much more to say about this weapon. It has infinite range, the second shot does incredible damage, it's very easy to use, you just gotta get used to it, and it spawns void projectiles when you kill enemies. This weapon is fun, it's very nice, it's very useful, and it's very powerful. That's the video for you guys today. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you think of the Graviton, if it needs a nerf, if it needs a buff, if it's right in the meta. Personally, I feel like it's right in the meta, especially with the Vigilance Wing still being able to do incredible amounts of damage. You can see here, I still was able to do an absolute tear with the Vigilance Wing. You definitely need another pulse rifle to compete with it, and this one is a more long range one, which is very nice. And if you didn't end up liking the video, make sure you leave a like down below so it can be out there for everybody to see and everybody can try out the new Graviton Lance. I've been your host, Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.